Now, in our talk about American identity, I wanted to say a little bit about the frontier spirit that the Americans admire so much and some qualities that are embedded in this idea, if you want. Let me first explain to you what the frontier and the frontier spirit is. Now, remember that the United States in the beginning was a very small country consisting of 13 colonies and then 13 states. And during the 1800s, the nation gradually expanded and became larger, and they settled further and further westward. And the line here, the people who went first, these were called the frontier. And we have to remember that the first people who kept pushing the limits this way had to have been very strong, courageous. They had to have some personal qualities that Americans still admire today. Remember that they very often came into territory where nobody had been before. There was great danger of meeting Indians. We all, of course, know that this was very dangerous for the Indians as well, but to the whites, this was connected with great danger, moving out like this. And sort of the symbol of the frontier spirit, the frontier would be the American cowboy in the 1800s. And what are some of the qualities that these first settlers had that Americans still see as American qualities? Well, I will start with a very essential American quality and belief, and that is, of course, individualism. Now, the people who came to the new continent, they counted only upon themselves. They did not count upon a government to help them. They did not count on meeting family or friends who would help. They had left everything behind, and they believed in themselves. And Americans today still believe firmly in individualism, in being different, in daring to do something new, in daring to stand out, and also just the idea that you count on yourself and not the government or other people. And that explains also why Americans are so hesitant to welfare, for instance. When President Obama now is suggesting or has suggested a new health reform, many Americans are very skeptical. Norwegians, we think it is the only thing right to do. It is very necessary for everybody to be insured. But for Americans, it doesn't always feel right. Americans are used to paying for themselves. If I work hard, I buy an insurance. Why should I pay for the insurance of the next person? Many Americans don't understand the idea of welfare. So you can see the hesitance towards welfare sort of as a result in the belief of individualism. Another important quality embedded in the frontier spirit would be practicality. If you wanted to survive in the wilderness, you had to be practical. So sometimes Americans admire people who can manage. You may not have a bachelor or a master degrees. You might not have a higher education or be extremely intelligent, but if you're practical and if you can solve problems and if you can work your way out of things, that's a very essential quality to Americans. That's why also they have so many do-it-yourself books. I thought it was an interesting thing that your book mentioned, but it's certainly correct. Americans depend on helping themselves in many aspects. If you're practical, you will get far in life. Now, progress also. The willingness to move upward, the willingness to move forward is by many Americans seen as a very American quality. Last, also mobility. You can imagine Americans, most of them are immigrants, but also in America today, most people move 3 or 4 times during their lifetime. So Americans are very mobile. This also means that they are used to making new networks. Many of us think of Americans as very social, very open, and in many ways they are, because they keep moving several times during their lives, so they have to build a network. That is also why they have a national identity more than a local identity very often. So mobility is also something that could be traced, if you want, back to the frontier spirit. So all in all, the Americans still admire the qualities that the first settlers, the people of the frontier, what the qualities that they had. They admire individualism, practicality, progress, and they're also very mobile. So mobility is also an American quality.